Hello, I'm Heather,
And I'm Cardyn.
and welcome to the Right Women Book Fest 2025 virtual panel discussion. Book marketing tips for authors by authors with authors Jean Burgess, Golden Angel, and Erin Wright. Welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for being here with us tonight. Thank you so much for being a part of the Right Women Book Fest 2025. It would not have been the same without you. We appreciate the support. We appreciate your energy and your, as Cardin always says, contributing your considerable skills and talents to the Book Fest. And I'm going to let her move us along and do the question asking with the moderating. And I will probably stick my nose in at various points and ask other questions because I'm chatty that way. So, so take it away, girl.
So, as Heather said, we're so appreciative of your presence, your talent, your energy to how you all have late helped us have success with the Right Women Book Fest, and then just with publishing, the publishing universe in general. And so, just to open us up, we'll start with if you would tell us about yourself, like your books, your genre, and how you ended up learning so much about book marketing, the hard way and the easy ways. They're all insightful for the rest of us. So let me say this, if you all are comfortable with it, maybe we'll start with Jean and then go
Sure.
to Erin and then go to Golden Angel, if you all are comfortable with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm Jean Burgess, and I have my feet in actually both nonfiction and fiction. But since fiction is my sort of most recent, I'll just chat about that. So I have a debut fiction. It's called That Summer She Found Her Voice. I call it a retro fiction as the genre because it what I write takes place in 1970s and 80s, and it doesn't really fit in historical fiction. So I just made up that genre, and and I'm sticking with it. And since we're talking about marketing, since I made up that genre, it's really sort of helped to say, "Oh, I write retro fiction," and people say, "What's that?" And then that starts the conversation, and that's kind of the key to marketing is getting people to talk. So that's what I write. And I'll just real briefly, the book is it takes place in 1978, both on Maryland's Eastern Shore and Baltimore's Little Italy, about a young woman in her 20s who grows up in a very small town on the Eastern Shore. She's heartbroken. And so, what does she do? What anybody does. She joins a swing band, of all things, as a singer, and she starts touring around the country. The band is headquartered in Baltimore's Little Italy, and her eyes are open to the big world. And while she's touring around, she finds her voice as an authentic woman. Um, her authentic voice, I mean, and she just comes into her own. So it's kind of a coming of age for a woman in her 20s. But I also touch on a lot of retro themes, emerging feminism, racial intolerance, spiritualism, things like that, which are also relevant today. So that's kind of that's what I do. And I'm really anxious to talk about how I kind of came into marketing. My book is published by a small press, and anybody who self-publishes or gets small press, you got to do the marketing yourself. So the book came out in 24, and I just kind of learned, uh, by the seat of my pants. And I guess that's a little bit what we'll be touching on in today's talk. So I'm happy to share what I've learned and my successes and my failures today.
Great. Thank you.
Sure.
I'm Erin Wright, and I write hot. My publishing name is Wright, as in my last name, Write Hot Sexy Cowboys, because that's what I write is hot sexy cowboys, and so it is actually an incorporated company. Wright Hot Sexy Cowboys LLC. So my mother about died when she found out that's what I was naming my company. But come on, you can't not do that with a last name like mine. So I write about cowboys and firefighters, and it's just small town in general. All of my books are set in Idaho, which it looks like I'm in Idaho right now, but I'm actually in Montana in an off-grid cabin in the middle of nowhere. So I lead kind of a random life.
Sounds
Uh,
perfect for writing.
it really is. I will be by myself miles away from the nearest human being for 2 weeks straight. So it is a writing retreat, not like, yeah, not necessarily what I planned, but it is what I need to do. So let's see. So I got into learning how to market the hard way. I started publishing in 2016, and nobody really knew what they were doing. And I went wide after the first little bit when I found out that I couldn't put my books onto libraries and be in KU, and that just was not cool with me. So I went wide. I didn't know anybody who was wide at that point, so I just did all the research myself. And figured it out. And then I ended up starting Wide for the Win, thinking that I could help other authors figure it out for themselves. And we started that in March of 2019. So, yeah, it's been around for a while now, which is really cool. But anyway, so I never do anything the easy way. So I figured out how to market and everything else the hard way.
School of
So,
Hard Knocks.
To be
yes,
fair, there
absolutely.
wasn't really an easy way back then. There,
Yeah,
It really wasn't.
that's fair.
And
yeah.
there's a lot of like discussion about like, oh man, back in the day you could put up a book and it could have a terrible cover and you make so much money. Yes, but also things were so much more difficult because there was so little support in terms of
Nobody knew what we were doing.
yes, nobody knew what we were doing. And we didn't have a lot of the companies that we have now. And even
Yes.
when we did have the companies there, their offerings were a lot less sophisticated and well developed because it was, way back then. And so
Yes.
almost 10 years, right? So you imagine how much things change in 10 years. So and in fact, I found the author world, the indie author world in 2015. I just didn't publish the first book until 2016. So I've actually like been paying attention to the indie author world very closely for 10 years now. And man, have things changed. Okay, so I'll let you talk, Golden. I have to go let the cat out before it tears down the building.
Oh no. Well, hi, I'm Golden Angel. I am a USA Today bestselling author of heart and bottom warming romance, is the way that I describe my books. I don't write high angst. There's always they have problems. There's always a little bit, but I don't write high angst. I want my books to leave you feeling like you've gotten a spanking and then a hug. Um,
I love it.
so yeah, I do kinky historicals and contemporary BDSM, and they're laugh out loud, very spicy, very graphic, and tend to center around large groups of family and friends, which I think is probably the biggest appeal of them. A lot of people say that they just want to be friends with my characters, which I think is amazing. It's a great compliment.
That is
Um,
a great compliment.
so I've been doing this since 2012, was when I first started self-publishing. But I didn't really get into connecting with other authors. I was one of those people who got to just put up their book with a terrible cover, and like no editing, and started making money enough that I was like, hey, I should keep doing this. This is great. I get to do this thing that I love because I've been writing for a free website since 2005 before that. So the fact that I got to do something I loved and get paid for it was new and very exciting. Um, but like Erin said, like I started really connecting with other authors in 2015, and we didn't have courses, we didn't have the best practices were usually just something worked for someone once, and then they're like, everybody should do this. And sometimes people listen to them. Um, and I came into it like Erin. I was not a Kindle Unlimited author. I was a wide author from the beginning. And most of the authors that I knew were in Kindle Unlimited. So the marketing was very different. And it was a lot of just stumbling through it on my own, and then eventually managing to connect with other authors who were also wide, and comparing notes and what are you doing and who's doing this. And it's funny because I always think back to those early days when people would be like, "Oh, well, what are you doing for marketing?" And I would tell them, "Oh, I don't even know. I'm terrible at marketing." So to go from that to now, like I started a just the tip TikTok on my, like, tips for authors on TikTok, which I now have been invited to speak about marketing for multiple author groups, and do a roundtable at RAM, and do a presentation at InkersCon. And when I think back to those early days, I realized that I very much thought that marketing was this, like, you either had it or you didn't. And once I started actually learning marketing and realizing that it wasn't just like a talent, it was a skill, and you could learn it and you could practice it and you could get better at it. And I actually did have a knack for it once I started learning those skills, the skills that go into it. Um, and so it's gone from me being, and I think some of that was also just very closed-mindedness on my own part, and very much imposter syndrome, and being like, oh no, I don't know what I'm doing with marketing, because that wasn't why I got into this. I got into this to write books, not
Mhm.
market.
Right.
Market them.
You learned pretty quickly that the two are,
I
connected
mean,
in a,
yes, it took me a few years, but only because I got in right at that right time. But it did get to that point of, like, if you don't learn to market, like, a lot of the people that I wrote with in the very beginning aren't around now. There's a lot of people who are, but it very much went from, you could just put up a book and the algorithm would help you out, especially in niche genres. And as that started to change, not everybody changed with it. And there were a lot of really talented authors that got lost along the way because marketing, they never got over the mindset of, I'm terrible with marketing. And
okay.
so they never tried, or they did try and they just couldn't make it happen. And yeah, it's kind of
Well,
sad.
I'm really glad we're talking about it now then. So if there are authors, presumably authors will mostly be who will be watching this. These are great people to listen to because they have the experience. So thank you for that. Um,
I remember I was in a group and I had just gone wide, and somebody else was asking, like, "Oh, how do I go wide?" And they said, "Oh, you should ask Erin Wright. She's wide." And I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" I've been wide for like 13 seconds, but
Yeah.
I was the one in the group with the most experience.
Right.
And like, not even
Terrifying,
intimidation.
isn't that?
Oh, yeah,
When you
yeah.
walk into the room and realize that everyone's looking to you, you're like, I came here to find someone to listen to. Thank you.
Well, this
Yep.
is the beauty of these like the panels, and we I had started Women Authors of Maryland that eventually became Women the Right Women Network that also did the Right Women Book Fest, and the beauty of this kind of collaborative discussions and networking is that all of us know how to do something.
Mhm.
Something, we're all good at something. And if we can all just teach each other the thing, like a sisterhood of teaching each other the thing that we're good at, and create a supportive environment for that. That's what I love. And that's why I like doing this. That's why I like Cardyn likes doing it, is because we want to see women succeed in these endeavors. And we appreciate the time that people put in to, stop and come this evening to this hour-long panel, which I mean, for people who are just coming to writing, it's more than just being here this hour. You're mentally preparing. I'm like making notes, I'm sending emails to remind, I'm setting up Zooms. Like, it's more than just this hour. It's an investment in time and energy and our learned skills that are, this is a gift that they're giving us, and I appreciate it. So thank you so much.
Can I interject really quickly too?
Mhm.
So, what all of you have said so far, it seems like a connecting thread is allowing yourself to have a learning curve,
Oh,
Mm.
yeah.
because like you do the creative thing, which because you write, because you're like, oh, I have this story I want to tell, or these characters won't shut up in my head, and whatever your motivating factor is to be the creator, and then you have to be the business person. And I think I think a lot of times it's better now, but I think especially even 10 years ago, people act like, oh, well, you're the artist. And then, tying into the expectations with traditional publishing of, well, I'm the author. I don't have to, other people are marketers. That's their other people do that. And so making that mind shift of like, okay, well, it's all me. Like, so
I'm the
what am
brand. I'm the,
right, right,
yeah.
right. So,
Yeah.
especially when you go wide, especially when you self-publish or even hybrid publish, and even really when
Yeah.
you're with a smaller publisher. And I would imagine for Jean that might have been your experience with the smaller publisher.
Yeah, it
That you
absolutely is.
feel,
My favorite word, and I do a lot of presentations at conferences and for chapters, writing chapters and things. And I like to call it authorpreneur,
mm,
entrepreneur, but
mhm,
authorpreneurship because, and I think we can't resist that that's a hat you have to wear
right.
anymore. You really just have to. And I do meet a lot. I do a lot of networking with other authors, at festivals like,
Mhm, mhm.
like in
Yeah,
July.
yeah, yeah.
And there's still a lot of authors who do resist it. I don't want to market. I don't want, but you've got to. It's
Yes.
just, this is the world that we bought into.
And there's so much more competition now because of
Absolutely.
self-publishing and hybrid. And in fact, a little bit of a tangent, but we know that traditional publishing is feeling the heat. That's why they're trolling book talk and Instagram and whatnot, looking for book influencers, book talkers. They're looking
Yeah.
to the indie publishing world to inject some more life into kind of the stale traditional publishing world. That to Golden Angel's point about individuals who are resistant, but we know that the traditional publishing universe has been very resistant to expanding inclusion and the whole shebang. So
Yeah,
Yeah, I
absolutely.
I found it really fascinating. There were people who I would talk to, and there was almost this like you were selling out if you
mm,
wanted to market. It was
mm,
like, that's not what a real author, a real artist does, right? Like you're just supposed to um starve while
Mm,
you
right,
start an artist, right? And it was
right.
you
The
were
ovens.
right? You were like debasing yourself by
mm.
marketing. And I just thought, all right, well, you can go starve, but I want to eat. So I'm going to figure this out. So, yeah.
There's so many unanswered questions. So you just brought a memory up for me that
Mhm.
I'd forgotten about for quite some time. When I first published my first book, Red August, which is like a Red Riding Hood paranormal romance book.
Mhm.
When I first published that, it was 2015, and I was talking to my husband, and I was like, can I get like a one of those car magnets, and can I wear like a shirt with my, is that, he's like, I don't know, man, I think maybe you're not supposed to do, like there was like these rules I'd build in my head about what was okay marketing.
Right.
And now I'm like, get the t-shirt, put the
Yeah.
sticker on the card, do whatever you can to get, if somebody's interested, then that's great. But at the time I had all these, and I'm sure they were built on traditional
Mhm.
marketing standards and
Yeah.
all these, straight jackets that you get put in,
Yes.
so that you look legit and things like that, because you're already feeling kind of vulnerable. Especially, it's a lot more legitimized now to be an indie author. Back
Right.
then it was a lot less legitimized.
Right.
And so you're like, can I wear a t-shirt with my book on it? Is that tacky? Like, so that was a funny memory you just brought up for me, for that. But so did you want to ask the next question, Card?
Oh, sure.
Or just real quick, can I just
Yeah.
say, because I think that brings up I was like, okay, hopefully I didn't just lose it, but I think that brings up a really interesting point, which I hope I can remember. Uh, oh, which is that so it's not just trad pub that gets kind of stuck in these ideas of you have to do it this way. Indie author, and I feel like the further that we've gotten along in indie publishing, and this is the downside of the courses, and this is the downside
Mm,
of having people to ask, is that we have again created a
Mhm.
lot of rules around
Mhm.
what this even it's not like you shouldn't do this, although some people will say that,
Right.
but there's always like the best practices. This is what you should do. Like, and the longer you're an established author, I know I feel
Mm.
sometimes like I get stuck in a rut of
Mhm.
what I've already done, what I know works. I'm not thinking outside the box. I'm
Mm.
just go, like blinders on, do the thing. And then I'll talk to a new author who's
Mm.
hasn't taken a course, who hasn't had a lot of discussions with other authors about this idea, marketing idea that they want to have. And I'm listening to them and I'm like, this is insane. And it's brilliant.
Mhm.
And sometimes I'll talk to them and I'll be like, okay, here's some of the things that I can see that might be a problem. And so many of them are so great at going, okay, this is how I'm going to get around that problem.
Mm.
And
Mhm.
I think that's an attitude that, especially the further you get into this industry, that you need to keep is that don't just knock the new ideas. Like there's always listen, see what you can take. Not everything's going to work for you,
Right.
but don't knock it just because it's not best practice or someone told you not to.
Right.
And listen to the new authors because they are thinking of things like we don't even realize how entrenched in the rules we've gotten
Right.
because we're just in it and you
Right.
can't, it's hard to see it when you're in it. But
True.
the
That
newer
is so
authors have some
true.
great ideas.
Yeah. And then that's why you always need like new blood, like,
Mhm.
fresh ideas, because I think as humans, regardless of what you're pursuing, there is, security and safety in the known thing, the tried and true. And to try to remind ourselves, like, okay, you don't have to totally like jump off a cliff, but at least see what the terrain is.
Right.
Take a
Yeah,
peek over it.
Yeah.
I was reading Walter Isaacson's book on Einstein,
Mm.
and it's really fascinating because when he first came into physics and in turning the world upside down, he was a rebel. He was a leader in that space, and all of the old guard were like, "Oh, you can't. This isn't right. This isn't how the world works." And and they were really putting him down of like he was a patent clerk, right? Like he didn't
Mhm.
have any of the formal training.
Right.
We don't need to listen to you.
Right.
Well, when he got older in his age, he started to badmouth the young people coming,
Mm.
and he started to say things like that's absolutely not the way that it works. And he was wrong. But he, about some pretty major things that we have gotten,
Right.
obviously further along in our understanding of science since then. And there were some things later in his life that he was like, that is absolutely not how this works. And that is absolutely how it works. But
Yeah.
he had become part of the old guard.
Right.
Yeah.
I
And so
think that you get to a point where your confidence is actually in your way
Mhm. Yeah.
Mm.
when you're
yeah.
like, I think that's more of a men's problem. I'm just kidding.
Kind of. You're kind of
I'm
kidding.
kidding. I'm kind of kidding.
So, Erin, let me say this about your Einstein reference. So, it's so interesting because I also look at his life and having, that he worked at the patent office as a reminder, too, for artists of all kinds, which is sometimes you need to have a paycheck job.
Mhm.
Mm.
And that the security of having a paycheck job sometimes eases anxiety, and then sure, it makes you have to schedule more your creative things, but the stress you're not feeling because you can pay the utilities, you can pay the rent or the mortgage, or
Mm.
something comes up, at least in the beginning when you're first starting out. And I'll say this, when I was first writing in my 20s, not submitting or publishing anything, of course my fantasy was I write this, critically acclaimed, best-selling, whatever, and I get the big
Mhm.
advance, and I'm touring and blah blah blah. But the reality is, and this is not to crush anyone's dream big, but the reality is that even today the current statistics are that even most best-selling authors average like ten to $15,000 a year, making that kind of money from their writing.
And
Unless,
trad
and you
pub
listen.
authors are probably not even getting that much.
Okay, wow.
The
So yeah.
It is so much harder to make a living when you're trad pub. I'm sorry if I just crushed
No, no,
anyone's
no,
dreams, but it
no.
is so much harder to make a living when you're trad pub. It's
Yeah.
so
But
much
I
harder.
you don't have to have your dreams crushed because you could still indie publish wide if you want
Yes,
to.
Yes,
that's true.
yes. You can still
And
hybrid on,
if
but I
trad
just
pub is
want,
what you
yeah,
want, you just might be,
right,
make it being a career author and being a trad pub author are just usually two different sets of goals. And so
right,
having that extra job,
right.
absolutely, like that is Cardin, that is such good advice, and people
Yeah.
don't say it often enough.
Oh,
it
oh, thank you for that. Especially coming from you, because you actually buck the statistics of really being able to. Because if I'm remembering correctly from a previous interview, you were saying that when you hit that point where you knew you didn't have to work, you didn't have to do any other work other than writing,
Mm.
and
Yeah,
how that
I've
calculated for
I've
you.
been full time since 2020, and
Yeah.
I could give you an hour-long presentation of the pitfalls and the difficulties and the things that you don't know or expect when
Mm,
you go full time. And there have been times when I have thought about, well, there have been times when I thought I would have to go get a
right.
day job again, and there have been times when I've thought about doing it just because the amount of pressure it puts on me
Oh
as
wow.
like the breadwinner of my house
Yeah.
oh my
and
God.
all
Hold it. You and I are the same. This is wild.
right.
Okay, I didn't interrupt. I'm just like, wow.
No,
Okay.
it's rough. It's
Yeah.
rough.
I do
And I
remember seeing one of your
Yeah.
TikToks where you were talking about how mark your regular following your marketing routine is super important. You did a specific TikTok about showing the statistics of when you paused or you slowed down and you didn't do it as much and how it affected your sales. Actually, you're very, for anybody watching this, you should go over to TikTok. Are you on other platforms in case TikTok
I
isn't?
started moving, so all of my TikToks I now have in text form, and I'm starting to edit them and move them onto my Substack.
Mhm.
So,
So I have a Substack as well.
Golden Angel has some really good, she'll very transparent explanations for authors. Um, I imagine it's in a playlist. Like I happen to see them
Yeah, it's a play.
organically because
Yeah.
I see them regularly because I'm looking regularly for them. But I do recommend that, and I think that was a wake up for me. Like, oh, you can't just start like say market this book, hit
Right.
the ground running with it, and then just let it. You have to keep it up, which is
Oh,
why
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
pressure
right.
is
And if
there.
you forget, like I did in August and September, you really see it.
You're like,
You really
hold
see
on a
it.
second, hold on.
Yeah.
Sorry, we're eating in tonight.
Yeah. Sorry. Sorry.
But the point
Yeah.
is, though, that a lot of authors do think that I mean, new to the biz,
Mhm.
they think, oh, I'll just put the book up and, oh, I got my launch and, oh, that was great. And then they sit back and they think that I don't have to do anymore, or I'll just put a couple of posts on social media and that's all I have to do.
Yeah.
Why
And
isn't my book selling?
and
Yeah.
why isn't, and then they're scratching their head, why
Yeah.
isn't this selling? And and it takes a lot of juggling,
Yeah.
And
and
that's
you
a
have to
great
manage your time.
that's a
And
great segue into our question that you get to answer next, Jean,
right,
Right.
which
Because
right,
is
these tips.
yes,
yeah,
give us your top three. Oh, Cardin, do you want to
yeah,
read
yeah,
them?
you go, Heather. Go.
Okay, give us your top three must-do marketing tips. And if you're paying for any of them, what makes sense to invest marketing dollars into? So, just what I mean by that is, we have our free ways of marketing, we have our organic and other ways of marketing. But if you're going to invest some dollars, what are your top three tips?
Yeah.
That's Eugene.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll start. Yeah. So I'm not gonna say really. I'm gonna talk generically
Okay.
first. So
Sure.
just kind of like a kind of an umbrella, more of a th thinking
Okay.
um, about knowing your brand. My tip is knowing your brand, and I'm not talking about oh, your colors or what your logo is, that sort of thing. I'm talking a little more deeply about who you are as an author and what you're trying to present to your target audience. And of course, you should know what your target audience is. So that goes without saying. So,
I think
um,
we should say it though.
Yes,
okay.
This
yes.
is for the, for the folks
So
that need to
you
hear
have
that.
your book or your series or whatever, and who definitely knowing how to define who your target audience is. But also, your readers, because every action that you do, who are you reaching out to and how are you trying to present yourself? And what I do, this is my tip for this, is I like to use, try to do some reflection and ask yourself, maybe narrow it down to, because we are wordsmiths, 2 or 3 words. So, if you're a romantic, I, romance isn't my thing, but let's say, you're a romance writer but maybe you do it in a humorous way. I'm going to say this gal who was next to me, she was a romance writer at the festival, okay? But I looked her up on Instagram, and she does these really funny little videos on there where she's reading her book and she has these funny expressions, and I could see where she's really pulling people in, and she was selling like hotcakes. I was not. She was, but my genre is weird. Okay, but I mean, okay, so humorous is a good word for her. She knows what she's putting out there, okay? And that kind of dictates her messaging. So what else for you? I mean, for me, I like to be personable. I like all my interactions on social media or direct marketing. If I have a table, I like to be chatty, personable. I answer if somebody puts a comment, they're going to get an answer from me. I'm going to respond. It's a lot of work, but on my newsletter, I get 60, 70% open engagement all the time because I've nurtured that. That's a word that works for me. I hope I'm um, you know radiating that right now. I'm a person of words.
Yes, yes, most definitely.
I hope I am. Uh,
Most definitely.
So, 2 or 3 words, that's a tip for me that you reflect what is your brand. And just, if you have a couple of guide words, that's going to guide you in all of your marketing interactions, newsletter, on your website, on all your social media, and certainly when you're doing direct marketing, any kind of author talk or table, author showcase, festivals, all of that. So that's sort of one tip that I would throw out there. Um, as far as paid things, um, well, I'm poor, so so my first year that my book came out, I didn't have a big budget. But the second year now, I made a little money. So I will reinvest and I will do maybe some advertisement. I will research it and I'll put money into it. So that's sort of how I think. But I think the other 2 authors here, Golden Angel and Erin, will talk maybe more about some paid things. But as I'm kind of newer into this fiction world, so I don't have a lot of input on sort of paid things. I have done a little bit of advertisement. I invested in some book awards, and I did get some mentions and that sort of thing. I have a sequel coming out, and my writing's gotten much better, so I might invest in that again. I'm still kind of a newbie, and my publisher also has entered me into some contests and things like that. Those kinds of things. Um, I think it's growing for
No,
me.
that's really strategic. That's
Yeah.
really
Yeah, I
strategic.
mean that
Yeah.
that's sort of where I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Um, and it also is, I think you reflect on what is your journey. So my journey is going to be different than Golden Angels. It's going to be different than Erin's. It's going to be different than every other author. So what is my path? What is my journey?
Hmm.
I'm not probably in it for the big bucks, which I, oh, what? But really, I'm more, I'm really more in it. I'm also building a speaking um, career as
Right,
well. And I'm doing
right.
tons of speaking, and that has built up. I'm a former teacher for 23 years, and I want to build on that. So my books are informing that career, and that speaking is helping me sell books. So that's hand in hand. That's a different journey than probably anybody else who's on this call right now.
But it's so relevant in
Yeah.
terms of how you have a foundation that you're building your own platform, and then you're organically pursuing the things that are interesting to you, um, your strengths, like all the different life skills and kind of marketing and connection networking skills that you have as a teacher for 20 plus years. That's invaluable, that
Mhm.
experience.
Yeah, you have so nailed it. Thank you for
You're welcome.
recognizing
You're welcome.
that.
I
But
have both my parents are retired elementary school teachers.
oh, I love you.
Same.
But but
No,
yeah,
you're,
and you know what? I'm
that's
just having the
funny.
best time. I'm having the best time doing this. This has just been a great 2 years, and I can't wait till my next book comes out in the spring. And this has been great. But
Having fun is what really is important.
Yeah.
it's true.
So
True.
excited. I don't know where you are on the Zoom call
Yeah.
and where you posted it. Yes,
For
yes,
me,
that.
Golden Angel
Right.
and Jean,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
below that is Aaron. So, but I mean, I guess it's gonna be my view. So, this way for um, uh, Golden Angel top three must-do marketing tips.
So yeah, I mean, what Jean said about like doing the free, I mean, it's free in that, time is money. So, but if you don't have like actual cash to spend, free marketing can get you so far, especially with where social media is at today. The first thing I would recommend spending money on is a newsletter because we don't own our social media platforms.
Yeah,
Speaking
it's a
as
good point.
someone who has lost her Twitter account and lost her TikTok, when I had over 20,000 followers, I lost it for
Ah,
48 hours. I was crying inside.
ah,
Um, I
Ridiculous.
got it back, but it was terrifying. Oh, and I got locked out of my Facebook at one point too. I now have a verified profile, so that won't happen again as long as I don't change my name on Facebook. So I'm never touching my Facebook name again. But we don't own the social media, and not only that, but you're relying on the algorithms, and the algorithms are not kind, especially when you're trying to market. Your newsletter and your website are two of the places that you really have control over things. And with the newsletter, if you move newsletter platforms, you get to take all the email addresses that you collected with you. You don't like on Facebook if my when they shut down my Facebook, like I couldn't talk to people, I couldn't tell them where to go. I couldn't tell them I was locked out. I
Yeah.
had my admin in my group do it for me and she posted to my page, but I couldn't do anything.
Right.
And so not only are you at like the mercy of the algorithms, you're at the mercy of whether or not you even have access to it.
Yeah.
But what I was able to do was let my newsletter know that I was locked out of my Facebook. I was able to let my newsletter know when my Twitter got hacked. I was able to let my newsletter know when my TikTok was down. And then I was able to let them know when it all came back. And that is the power of the newsletter. The other really nice thing about a newsletter is that those are people who signed up for to hear from you. And I don't mind if people sign up to get the freebie and then go away. That's fine. They just took a free book from me. Hopefully they'll read it, like it, and either come back or go buy more books. I am totally fine with the freebie seekers. Um, and but yeah, the newsletter and the website are the two things that I say pay for if you're going to pay for something else, I would wait until you're making money from the books, because if you're making a profit from the books, then you know that those books are worth marketing. And it's not that your book isn't amazing, but sometimes one of the things that we can't control with our marketing is what the market wants right now. And so a
mm.
book might hit in like 10 years, but right now it's not doing anything. And throwing more money at it isn't going to make it do more necessarily.
Yeah, just
There's,
ask George R. R. Martin.
yeah, like you can throw money at it, but
Yeah.
are
Yeah.
you making a profit on it, or would you be better served by just writing the next book?
Yeah.
And 99 times out of 100, you're going to be better served just writing the next book.
Yeah.
Um, and then once you get into uh, the actual marketing, like for my tip for like actually posting, like what you should put in the newsletter, what you should put on your social media posts, I really like going for the emotion. Whether that emotion is anger or interest or love or something spicy. I mean, that's why spicy romance works so well on TikTok, is because it's not just being like, oh, it's spicy. Like it is creating like an arousal. It's creating an interest. It's creating intrigue. But you can do that with mysteries. If you hint at like, if you're doing like a police procedural and you want to, then I would be focusing on like, why is this person choose to be a policeman or woman? What does that mean to them? Are they fighting for justice? Are they, like, especially
Right.
in a contemporary world, like why this? If you're doing horror, you want your readers to be kind of horrified the moment they read something for your marketing.
Yeah.
If you're doing romance, you want them, I mean, depending on the genre, you either
Right.
want them to be like, yes, I want to get swept away by this fantasy. Yes, I want to get abducted by this alien. Yes, I want to like go run off with this Highlander. I want to get immersed in this
Mm,
world that's nothing like mine. And if you can invoke that emotion in people and give them a little bit of the emotion that you want to, you're kind of selling the emotion that the book is going to give them. And I think that that's usually the most effective way of marketing. I don't know if
Thank
that
you.
was three or
Yeah.
not, but
no,
No,
that was good.
That
No,
was
that was all
good.
good.
mwah,
Good.
chef's kiss.
Yeah.
Erin, what are your top three marketing must-dos?
Yes, absolutely. I wanted to say really fast that because I didn't have the conversation moved on, but I'm gonna bring it back. I just wanted to say I supported my someday ex-husband for 7 years. Not only was I full-time and paying for myself, I was also paying for his existence in its
Mm,
entirety. He wasn't bringing in any money. And then he decided to buy a newspaper. And so then I was putting a bunch of my money into helping him get his newspaper up and running and making money, which I never did after 3 years. So I was supporting myself, another whole human being, and that whole human being's own hobbies and desires, all as an indie author. And
wow.
I have to tell you, there were days that I would just cry, like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know how I'm going to do this. Uh, I need to go out and get a real job because this is craziness.
Right.
It's an
But
insane amount of pressure.
it
It's too
is.
much.
And so,
This year I finally sent my husband to go get a job because part of it was he was the stay-at-home dad for our daughter,
Right.
which is why it ended up all being on me. It was after she was born,
Right.
and why we were like, you know what? I'm making the money. His job was going to cover daycare. Period.
Right.
Like that was
Right.
it.
Right.
That was
Right.
all it was covering, and
Right.
he didn't even like it. So I was like, all right, you do the stay-at-home thing. But yeah, this year I was like, it's too much. I am too stressed. It is just too much stress on me. I need you to go get a job. And he was like, yeah, done, gone. So it may not necessarily be you that has to go get the stable job, but
Right. Right. Right.
somebody needs
Right. Somebody
money
needs
too.
to, every 2 weeks or whatever, like the psychological
Yeah.
benefit in addition to the financial benefit.
Yes.
Do
yeah.
you
And I
feel
don't,
like, do you both feel like that this impacted your writing in
God,
any
yes.
way?
Oh yeah. This
yeah.
yeah. I
It,
almost yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
oh. So a couple different things. My husband and I didn't manage to procreate, so we had four-legged children, and he still couldn't be bothered to work. Did I mention the someday ex-husband, right? I left him
Right.
February 21st. Y'all
Right.
feel free to write that down on your calendar.
Congratulations.
It's Air
Yes.
Fight Liberation Day. It's a
Yeah.
fantastic day. It's going to be a national holiday soon, I'm sure of it. Um, but yeah, and I begged, pleaded, cried, threatened, anything I could think of. Like, you have got to go get a job. And he just
Mhm.
refused to. And he told me he didn't understand why he should have to because I supported him. Isn't that fun? So anyway, but what I was going to say is that
Yeah.
being full time, something that people don't necessarily understand when you are at work and you kind of don't love your job and it's not awesome and you're like, oh my God, like I would just love to be at home writing right now. Like how amazing would that be? Grass is always greener on the other side.
Hmm.
I
I
will
have those
say,
days.
yes, you really are. It actually makes writing stressful
Yeah.
Hmm.
because it takes almost some of the fun out of it because it's no longer like this thing that you're doing because you love it. It's this thing that you're doing because if you don't, you're going to starve to death.
Right.
Which brings down the fun factor
Yeah,
by
yeah, I could see
a
how
big
that would bring
chunk.
down the fun factor.
So
Yeah.
I don't
That
know.
would totally
Hard.
bring.
Those are
Well,
my thoughts. I don't know what it was like with your husband, but yeah, like it genuinely makes it more, it is work.
hmm,
Right.
Well,
yeah.
thankfully, like I said, I have a super supportive husband. As soon as I was like, I need you to go work, he's like, okay, and started applying.
Which
Yeah,
is
I mean,
the appropriate loving response,
yes,
right? Like,
Yes.
exactly. But yeah, I mean, I almost didn't make it past like 2 months of being a full-time author. I freaked out. I was felt so much pressure. I
yeah,
wouldn't let myself read anything. I tell the story all the time. I wouldn't let myself read anything for fun because I was like, no, this is my job now. I have to get my words in. I can't let
right.
myself relax if I'm not even
Mhm.
getting my job done. And it was getting harder and harder to write every day. I was panicking because I couldn't write. And then I'm like, well, I'm not, and I wanted to read so badly. I wanted to
Right.
read so badly. And I was like, but that's a reward. And that's for good girls. And I've been a bad author.
Oh.
And so what I would let myself read was I would let myself read marketing books and craft books and anything that had to do, all nonfiction, anything that had
Hmm.
to do with helping my business. And finally, I read Becca Syme's Dear Writer, You Need to Quit. And she talked about
Good book.
authors who do exactly what I was doing
Huh?
and that what they really needed to do, that something that needed to be included in as work for them was to read fiction because they could not write without it. And so it's
Right.
like trying to scrape words from an empty well because you
Right.
haven't filled the well. And
Mhm.
I just burst into tears because
Mhm.
I was this close to just going back to my day job. Like I was, I honestly believe that if I had not found that book, that within 2 weeks I would have given
That's
up.
a really good book. I'm glad you brought it up because I think that it covers a lot of burnout type situations that authors face, or rewards versus like
Hmm.
also this writing books. If you're not writing books as fast as other authors are writing them,
Mhm.
and the
Right.
comparitis, that's all in that book, and
Yeah.
it's a really good
And
book.
she
So I
also now
definitely
has
recommend.
Dear Writer, are you in burnout? Dear Writer, are you intuitive? She's
Nice.
got a whole series and
Yeah.
she's coming out with a follow-up to the first one. And it's like, Dear Writer, you need to quit again.
Well, I have to say, Golden, you're so smart that you actually read that book because I saw the title and I was like, I am not going to quit. I refuse. And so I avoided that book for the longest
Yeah.
time because I was not going to read a book about how I needed to quit. I am so
It's
stubborn.
dear writer, you need to quit not
Right.
allowing yourself to read books.
Right.
Try
Right.
comparing yourself to other
Right.
people. It was is a very much a
Yeah.
what you need to quit isn't writing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
But see,
these
and
other things.
that gets back to Jean's point about branding, though, because Becca said she wishes she'd called it something else because it confused a lot of people the same way it did Erin. And me too. Like, it
Mhm.
took like five different people recommending that book to me and me being like, I don't think I can do this. I'm freaking out. The words
Right.
aren't coming. And one of my very close author friends was like, please, for the love of God, just go read this book right now. Like, I know you're
Mhm.
reading all these like all these
Yes.
author books, go read this one now. And I said, okay. Um, and I got like halfway through and I closed it. The second I read that story, I closed it and I went and I just binged. Like I couldn't stop once I
Mhm.
started. Just binged
Yeah.
fiction for like 5 days straight.
Yeah.
And then I could write again.
Yeah.
And then I
Yay.
went and binged all of Becca's content.
But
Yeah.
also that speaks to the idea of, and I don't know if it's just like our country's culture or the global success measurement
Mm,
culture of like you have to grind it out, and
Right.
you have to
Gotta
hit these
hustle.
you have to hit these benchmarks, and you can't do XYZ for
Mm,
pleasure until because you have to earn pleasure or
yes.
treats or whatnot. And it's like, no, to exist as a human, you need downtime, you need pleasure, you need treats, you read what
Yes.
like you just do, just like you need safe water and oxygen and nutritious food and all that. And like, I think younger generations are embracing that at an earlier age, or understanding that
So,
at an earlier age than
Hmm.
we.
yeah.
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 Yeah. Because I really I think I was born with like the pure
Mm-hmm,
Puritan,
mm-hmm,
work ethic of
mm-hmm,
like you really do have to earn the ability to ever have any fun, right?
Yes.
So
Right.
You
and
can't relax. You haven't earned it.
So
yeah,
right.
your
that's right.
three, you
Okay,
still
so yes. So
your
I
three
know
must do's.
so I must say these very quickly. And mine are very concrete, and also completely free. So you're welcome. Number one, you should write in series. It will make your marketing portion of things a
Mm-hmm,
gazillion times easier because instead of just promoting one book and getting sales from one book and then you're done, you can
mm-hmm,
promote one book, get sales from one book, and then another book and another book and another book.
mm-hmm,
So, series are really, really useful to having success. Number
Okay.
two is have really strong branding of your covers. While I was letting the cat out, I grabbed a couple of my books.
mm-hmm.
You can hopefully see them.
Yeah,
If you can't, you can go to your favorite storefront and look up
no, they
Erin.
look great.
But anybody just, listening and isn't looking at the screen, but
Mm-hmm,
it's sexy cowboys on the front, shirtless dudes, right? My name is very big. It's on the bottom. It's in the same font. It's in the same style. It's got a little ribbon across the middle. Every single series that I have written is exactly the same. My cowboys, my firefighters, my musicians, my servicemen, they all have very similar covers. They look dissimilar enough that you can tell they're in different series, right? So like the firefighters have like flames and smoke and stuff like that. But it still says Erin Wright, big letters, exact same font, exact same size, exact same spot on the cover every single time. Because I want somebody to see one of my covers and go,
mm-hmm,
oh, I think I've read a book by her before. I liked that. I'm going to buy it again. That gut reaction of I recognize that author name and I want to buy more books by her makes your marketing so much easier because you are not having to start from ground zero with every single book. If they don't look like they belong together, then
right.
you have to convince the reader with
Mm-hmm,
every individual book that they really should be picking up that one. So have strong marketing even across your series, as long as they are somewhat related, right? So if you have like really different genres underneath your same name,
yeah,
um, whatever. But if you are writing in the same like kind of genre, then you should have very strong branding of your name across all of your books. Okay, number three, you should have a newsletter magnet. A newsletter magnet should be either a short story or a novella, or if you're really feeling wild and ambitious, I guess a full-length novel. Most people don't do those for a newsletter magnet. But you want to give people a reason to sign up for your newsletter so that you can reach them, and you can move them from company to company as you move companies, right? I recently moved newsletter email companies. I was using MailerLite for years, and the cost per month had gotten up, was it either 120 or 210? Now I can't remember.
mm-hmm,
I think it was 120.
Friends.
Anyway, it was a lot. I was like, why am I spending this much just to have my email list exist on your servers, right?
right.
It was really expensive. So I moved to a different newsletter company within the last couple of months. And I took everybody with me. You
Nice.
cannot do that on social media. You don't have the ability to port people over, you can't reach out and contact them. So having a newsletter magnet gives them a really good reason to sign up for your newsletter. If you don't give them that good reason, then maybe they don't ever do it. And then you miss out on that ability to reach out to them and talk to them regularly.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's excellent. And so
Fantastic
we
advice.
hear newsletter, like newsletter.
Mhm.
Yeah.
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 It's the easiest marketing.
I use Flowdesk, which is a flat rate per month, no matter
Yeah.
how many. So for people watching this who don't know, a lot of the newsletter platforms require you to pay more for the bigger your list is, whereas Flowdesk, and I don't know if there's a cap at all. I don't think there is. It's just a flat, like I want to say it's 39 a month or something like that. And it's fairly easy to use, but you should look around. You should do some
Mhm.
research and see what you like and see what works for you, but just make sure you check and see how if they have like up to 1,000 it's this much per month, and then you just have to watch that because if you hit certain benchmarks, which hopefully you do, I mean you want to, right? You
Right.
could
By
be
the time
paying,
you're paying for it, you can afford to pay for it,
right.
and
Right,
it
that's
is worth
true.
the money.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I
Yes.
will say I do want to, not all the newsletter providers are built the same. There is one, I cannot remember the name of it, but it's got Fox somewhere in the title.
Red Fox.
Thank you. Don't use that one.
What is it called?
Send Fox, I
Okay.
think, right, Erin? Is
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah, yeah.
okay?
And it's
So
through the one company.
yes. So what you want to do when you're looking at like the plans that they do, if they say we'll choose who to send your newsletter based on your open rate, that
Ooh.
means that if someone misses like a single, like if they miss a single newsletter, they might not get your newsletters in the future. Like maybe they were
Mm,
on vacation and didn't feel like
right,
opening all their
right,
newsletters.
right.
But now, because they didn't open your newsletter, they're
Yeah.
marked as like an undesirable send. And I've had multiple author friends who used this company because it was not as expensive and they thought it would be fine, and they liked the idea of like, oh, I'm not going to mess with my, open rate. I'll have like 100% open rate. Maybe, but it wasn't sending to their full newsletter.
Right,
People who were signed up for it and wanted their newsletters were emailing them like, I'm not getting your newsletter anymore. Did I get removed? Did I?
right.
And it was shrinking. Their sales were shrinking along with
Uh,
it. Like it was, and I was just like, so now whenever I'm just like, you
yeah,
look
Okay.
at what you're
right.
signing up for. Make sure you really understand what they're
Right.
offering.
Oh
Yeah,
my
so
Oh,
goodness, that's not good.
SendFox,
That
SendFox is all one word and it's by AppSumo. That was the name of the company. I was like, it's by that one company. It's
mhm.
AppSumo. Anyway,
Okay.
I just wanted to
Sumo
make sure
stuff.
people
No,
knew.
no, that's excellent.
well,
That's
that
excellent.
segues nicely into our must don'ts.
Oh, so before we go to must don'ts, let
Okay.
me say something for um, the newbies that maybe might feel more intimidated just by the idea of book marketing. And so, I'm a library lover. So, my recommendation is go to your local library branch, or at least look at your county or your city's um, public library website. I know in Prince George's County, Maryland, we actually have a link for local authors because talking about marketing kind of in an umbrella way, libraries are always looking for more patrons and more reasons to connect with the community. So almost always your public library is supportive of you as a local author. So that's more sweat equity than any money. But I'm going to use Prince George's County as Maryland as an example, which is they worked with us for 3 or 4 years of the Book Fest once they found out about us. And then people who were participating in the Book Fest, either in person or virtually, could have submit their book to the library. And then you want to talk about credibility. Somebody's on the fence about whether or not they want to read what you've written, you can say to them, you can borrow my book from the library. And then people are like, oh, really? I can? So then that's again, no money is required of them, just a little effort to request it from the library. And I don't know if it's true of all libraries, but in Prince George's County, if you get up to 10 requests, then they put in a purchase order for another copy because the requests at the library means that people are interested in
Popular.
your book.
Yeah.
So,
And Prince
yeah.
George's County Library System's the gold standard. Like that's a wonderful library system. I know that it's also fairly newer for them to for libraries to be accepting indie author and wide self-published authors, Prince George's County was pretty quick on that bandwagon. And so if your library system is not doing that, say, why aren't you like Prince George's County Memorial Library
Yeah.
System?
Nice.
If I can add on to
Yeah.
this about getting a copy or two in a public library, I'm in Carroll County, Maryland,
Okay.
but um, and it takes 3 requests to get a new
Okay.
copy.
Oh,
And I'm always
nice.
telling my friends, please request, please
Yes,
request.
yes, yes.
Ah,
But the other advantage is for book clubs because
Mm,
if you have friends or you know people, or whenever I'm doing a direct marketing, I always have a flyer about, hey, this is a great book for
mm,
for a book club. But sometimes, and of course, book clubs are nice because you get 5 or 6 copies sold, but sometimes one or two of the people in the book club will like to get it out of the library.
yes.
So, if you can say, well, there is a copy or two at the
Hmm.
library, if you
Hmm.
can,
yeah.
just put that into the
Yeah.
conversation, it might be the thing that says, that gets that
Yes.
book club interested. So that's
Yes.
another really good, just to tag on to
Oh, no, no, that's
that.
excellent. But yeah,
Nice.
so yeah, but if you're
I was
willing to do the sweat equity and the
Yeah.
reaching out, and then also just, I love libraries and librarians, but they're really enthusiastic supporters of authors and readers and expansion. Like
Yeah.
that's why they're librarians. So, okay, that's my little library soapbox. Oh, they
Well,
do also do local author events too, which usually you don't have to pay a fee to participate in. So if you participate in your libraries, your community libraries, local authors event, not only do you usually get to participate without any kind of tabling fee, then you can also make sure you're talking to people like Jean says, making that connection, but also taking plenty of pictures and video so you have content for your socials and your website and your newsletter and whatever so that
kidding.
and
I think it's
it,
important to note that if you're in Kindle Unlimited and you don't know this,
mm,
paperbacks are not part of the Kindle Unlimited exclusivity thing.
mm,
And recently, Amazon did also change their terms of service. Kindle Unlimited authors have to be exclusive to Amazon, but they can put their ebooks into public library systems. So that would be things like
ooh,
Hoopla and Libby, so that
mhm,
people can borrow your book through the
mhm,
library. You still can't put it up on other retailers, but you
mhm.
can reach libraries
good to
using
know.
draft to digital. Just don't check the box for any of the retailers. Scroll
Right.
straight down the page to distribute to just the library options.
Nice.
And that
That's
is
an
now available for
improvement.
KU authors.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's great.
Yeah.
That's a big
Yeah.
improvement.
Yeah.
Thanks for that noting that.
Mm.
And I was just going to tag on one more thing about libraries because I also am a big lover of libraries, but I did my launch at my local library
Mm.
for my book, and I will do it for my next one that comes out in the spring. And they were so great to work with. We did a big celebration. They took reservations, which was
Oh,
great. And I made mine a big, huge, I had a celebrity Baltimore Hun as part of
oh,
it because this is retro, right?
right, right,
I love
right.
And
it.
and we had refreshments. I did a little author talk. I had a gift, a raffle, and a whole
Right.
thing, big celebration. I had 75 people there, which is for
Wowza.
a launch,
Wow.
which is
That's
great.
excellent.
That
Yeah,
is
Yeah.
but they were
excellent.
great to work with. So library will be, I mean, I did work too to get
Right.
people there
Yes,
and
of course.
did, you have to put in the work as
Right.
well. But they were really great to work with. And so I'm a big believer in the libraries too. I
Yeah,
totally agree with you.
yeah,
The
yeah,
libraries are great.
yeah.
I
So,
agree.
and
Yes, we're very grateful. So the next section is the last closing out is going to be give us your top three marketing must don'ts, or even if you just have one really big must don't, tell us what you're like. Please don't do this. I've learned from my errors, learned from my mistakes. Don't do this. So, Jean, do you want to start off?
uh, I made my mistakes along the way.
We all have.
Yeah. Um, I think it kind of goes with my first thing, just not being true to myself, either, trying to do what the comparison thing that we've already talked about, and then it didn't feel real to me. So be genuine to yourself. And uh, I guess, just that's not specific, and I apologize, but like let's say for social media, you can't do it all. So pick the one or two that works for you. I'm not a TikTok person. I'm old, so that doesn't work for me. Uh, but I do Facebook and I added on Instagram this year. That was my new thing, and so I'm learning it, and it's growing slow.
Yeah.
But do what you can do and don't force yourself because you just fall flat on your
Yeah.
face. So that would be my
So your must don't is don't try to be something you're not. Just
yes,
stay true to
perfect. Thank
yourself.
you for saying that so much better than I did.
No, I just encapsulated it in a
Yes,
different
and
way.
you
That's
did
all.
beautifully. And
You
you did
said
that
it.
beautifully.
Golden Angel, what is your top must don't or must don'ts?
Oh, it goes along really well with what Jean just said because it is really important to have that authenticity, not just for your readers, but for yourself, because it is really easy to burn out in this career. And if you are trying to do everything and you're trying to be someone you're not, and you're trying to force something like that is the fastest way to burn out. And if you want it to be a sustainable career or even a sustainable side hustle or a sustainable hobby, like you have to not try to be someone else just because you see a successful author doing something and you go, oh, well, they're successful, so I should do. But should you? Like, is what they're doing really something that you want to do? And also, is that what got them to the point of success, or are they doing it now because they've had the success?
Mm,
And I
mm,
think it's really
Excellent
important.
point.
Yeah, like I see so many authors doing things that they see the author, they're like, that's the author I want to be like. She does this, so I'm gonna do that. And they don't realize that when that author was at their level, when they were newer, when they were beginning, when they hadn't achieved that, they weren't doing that
right.
Right.
because it wasn't the right time yet. It wasn't
Excellent distinction.
like,
Hmm.
and you don't always know, like, and even when another author's giving advice, you don't know that they know best. Like if there was one path that worked for
Right.
everybody to
Right.
become a successful author, we would
Right.
all be doing that one path.
Right.
But it's
Mhm.
it's different for everybody. And assuming that another author knows what's best for you and your path just because they've reached success on their path
Mhm.
is going to get you nowhere real fast. I mean, there might be some things that you can take from them and advice that you can take from them that will work for you, but I think
Right.
it's really important to parse out what will and what won't, and what's actually good for your journey and what you're just trying to do. And when it comes to that, the biggest thing I can say is do not overspend trying to make
Mm,
fetch happen.
mm,
If your book, if someone tells you, you just need to run ads, you just need to do this, and you try it and you are losing money, stop doing it. Do not buy into the sunk cost fallacy. Do not be
Just
Danny McBride in that
mm.
end of the world movie. No, like I've already gone too far. He could have turned around and fixed things. He didn't want to. He'd gone two steps. Don't spend a bunch of money and then say, well, I have to spend more money because I've already spent this much
Right.
money trying to make it. Just stop trying to make it work.
Right.
Write the next book.
X-nay.
After that,
Right.
put the money to something that's working. Save it up. Save it up so that when something starts working, you have it to put towards that thing.
Love it.
And I think one of my biggest mistakes was, I had a series that wasn't doing as well as the others. And I thought, well, maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm not putting enough time and money into marketing it. So I put more time and money into marketing it. Did I increase the income from that series? Yes. Did that income from that series get anywhere close to the series that were making that had already been successful? Oh, but I spent all this time and money marketing this series trying to make it like catch up
Right.
instead of marketing these series that were already doing really well and
Right.
seeing if I could push them even further.
Right.
And that's time
And
you could have
that
been
series never
writing,
came up.
you
Yeah.
know. That's time you could have been writing.
It's time I could have been writing. It's time I could have been marketing series that like
Hmm.
if I mean I quadrupled the amount of money that series made. On the other hand, what if I had quadrupled the amount of money that one of my successful series made?
Right.
Because I put the time and money, and so that's when I started doing that, is shifting my focus to putting the time and money and effort into the
Gotcha.
series that
Hmm.
were already doing well and making them do even better.
So
So
let
that
me say this to that point, Golden Angel. Right from the beginning of our conversation, we were talking about being able to tell when you're doing the work of the author creative and then the author business person, and that's it's a hard shift to make.
It is.
It's hard. It's easier to
I want
say
all my
than to
books to
do.
do well.
Right, of course, of course.
But
Okay,
that
I'm sorry, whoever I cut off, go.
Oh, it just reminded me of Becca Syme and the strengths, right? Clifton's strengths. And it's all about like what are your strengths and then lean into them. Don't look at the bottom of your strengths profile and be like, I'm gonna make those really strong. You're not. Focus on your strengths, damn it. So, and the same thing is true with your books, right? If you have a series that's a real knockout compared to your other series, lean into that series. Don't try, is it who is it that talks about the donkey series and the
Lena
person?
Johnson.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Sometimes you're just gonna have a donkey series. So just let the donkey be the donkey and just move along. So anyway, that's not my don't though. I've
Okay,
got
yes, please give us your must don't.
Okay. Don't believe that the first book that you write is the best that it can be. And that you should then go whole hog into kind of what Golden Angel and Jean were talking about, where you can look at someone who is much further down the track than you are in terms of their author career, and you can see that they have human narrated audiobooks with what are the ear award winning, narrators.
Yeah.
What is it?
Full
Anyway.
cast.
Yes, yes, right. You can see an author has that as their audiobooks, and maybe they have really beautiful covers on Kickstarter, and maybe they have their books translated into 6 different languages, and you're like, okay, so this is what I do, because I'm an author and I'm looking at who I want to be like, so I've got to do what they do. They didn't do that when they started. Here's the truth of it. If you don't get better when you write a new book, you're doing it wrong. Okay?
amen.
So if you write 10 books and the 10th book is just as good as the first book, no better, you're not doing this the way you should be. You will get better as you write. So please do not sink tens of thousands of dollars into these crazy, wild special editions and translating other books into other languages and all these human narrated audiobooks, because you're probably going to want to go back and either pull down the original version and rewrite it, or you're going to have your first series be a donkey series, and you'll be like, boy, that series I sure learned a lot on. How about if I start a new series where I actually knew what I'm doing? But you don't want, I cannot tell you how many authors have paid, especially human narrated audiobooks seems to be a thing where they're like, well, but if I put money into human narrated audiobooks, then I'll make money every month from those audiobooks, from the sales of it. And I'm like, yes, but let's just do some quick math here. If you spend $3,000 at the cheapest to get an audiobook done and you make $10 more a month, how many months will it take you to make back that $1,000?
I
Right?
track that. It takes like 2 years for an audiobook to pay itself off, and I have a lot of them.
Yes, yes, and you're very successful compared to someone where this is their first book,
Yeah.
right? Please do not put a lot of money into doing special editions. I have talked to authors who have paid for print runs from China, and they have 1,000 copies of their special edition book that is so beautiful and shiny and gorgeous, and they own 999 of them because their mother bought one copy. Okay? This is not how it works. None of this is how this works. Please don't do that. So I had another thought and I can't remember what it is. So,
I,
Golden mentioned like getting advice from authors and maybe it's useful for you and maybe it isn't. And I do consultations where I talk one-on-one with authors. I have since started those in December of 2020, and I've talked to over 500 authors at this point. The advice that I give to one author can be wildly different than the advice that I give to another author because I've seen so many different ways of climbing the mountain that I have more breadth and depth of that. Most authors can only tell you how they got successful. That's all they know.
Right.
And so they'll give you the advice that worked for them.
Right.
And they're not doing it with any sort of malice.
Right.
They're thinking they're being really useful.
Yeah.
What they don't realize is that maybe you have a very different personality and none of their advice is going to work for you. And so then you spend all this time spinning in circles trying to make somebody else's advice work for you when it's just not meant for you and who you are and your strengths. And so anyway, so just be really careful when you talk to authors. Just know they are doing their best to help you. That doesn't mean that it is actually helpful.
Right.
mhm.
Oh, that's
Mm.
Yeah, that's
excellent.
great.
Let
Such
me
a
I
just.
great
think
way of saying it.
I think Golden Angel didn't you have a story in one of the presentations I attended about a special edition that you got and then wished you hadn't done it or something?
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
I think it was a romance author group presentation you were doing about
Yeah. I'm
sales
sure
and stuff.
I know I've done it with audiobooks. I know I've done it with translations where I've like that one series that didn't sell very well in
You
the
just
first
want that
place.
one to, you know, it's good and you want people to
Not
know
that
about
good.
it.
It's not that good, and I just need to. It's not. It's like it was the first series that, but I see it's the first series I ever
Admitting it's
published.
the first step, Golden Angel.
Oh,
Admitting it's
but I
the
have.
first
It's
step.
got audiobooks. It's got translations. I have stopped tracking whether or not those things are ever going to pay themselves off because it's too depressing. They've been out for at least 5 years. I expect they might pay themselves off in another 10 to 15.
Oh my
Like,
gosh.
Okay. All right. So closing out, if we
Yes.
start with Jean and then Golden and then close out with Erin, please tell us what you have that's coming up.
Hmm.
And like if you have a speaking thing, if you have a book that's launching, and where people can find you. And I will put the information in the description of this panel discussion. So don't worry if you don't catch their uh, at or their website. I will be putting it below. So go ahead, Jean.
All right, great. Well, thank you for the opportunity. I'm actually presenting at the Maryland Writers
Mm.
Association conference this weekend. So,
Oh,
and then yeah, well that's yeah,
Yeah.
I'm always speaking.
Nice.
do you have
Yes.
Uh,
anything coming in November? I do expect to get this online tomorrow, so people
um,
should see it before the weekend, but
You know, this is for those of us who do direct sales. This November is and December is the beginning of holiday direct marketing. So just about every weekend there is some kind of vendor event, author showcase. Uh, and a great way to find out where I'll be is on my website.
Yes.
Um,
Yes. Yes.
which is www.jeanburgessauthor.com. And I
okay.
always have a section there of events and all other kind of interesting information.
Nice.
And you're on Instagram now.
And I am on Instagram and Facebook.
Great.
Nice.
Golden Angel?
well, let's see, you can find me at my website, www.goldenangelromance.com. I also, this month, I do one-on-ones, consultations. I also, this month, I'm starting something new, which is happening on Monday, which is a small group Q&A, because the one-on-ones can be kind of pricey. I would like newer authors to be able to get something similar to a one-on-one time with me. So I think the small group Q&As will work out well because it's less expensive. And then also you get, the chance to hear other people's questions. You might learn from the things
Mm.
that they're asking about, and we can do a little bit more of a deep dive than what I get into on like my TikToks, where I'm giving very generalized advice, and say like Erin said, like when I do one-on-ones with people, one on what like I'm going to be asking you a lot of questions to help
Mm.
you figure out what's going to work best for you.
Yeah.
And so being able to do that in a small group setting, I think will be more helpful than doing some of the general stuff.
Yeah.
And that is calendly.com/golden angel romance. And Heather, I sent you the links to find
Okay.
that.
Okay.
And then I have a book coming out this month on October 21st, The Duke's
Wowza.
Indecent Match. Which is
Nice.
Indecent match.
indecent
Do you
match,
have a
which is
cut? Do you have
well, I
a
don't have it for that. I don't have it for that one, but I have this is the special edition of book one, which is the Duke's Indecent Scandal,
That's
ooh,
beautiful.
which I also
that
am
is
selling this month.
gorgeous.
Pretty.
Yeah.
So yeah, the
Or
Duke's Indecent Match will, as to Erin's talk about branding, looks
Mhm.
almost exactly like this, but with a different cameo in the
Nice.
center.
Oh, I like
And
okay.
that.
it's pink instead of blue.
Yeah.
Yep,
Aaron's giving you the
yes.
thumbs up.
Which is the whole series is gonna I'll be changing the background color and the
Yeah.
cameo, and everything else stays the same.
Nice.
So your books can be found on your Golden Angel Romance website,
Yes.
but the Calendly, I never know
Calendly
how
is
to say
for
that.
yeah, the
Ca-
Calendly is
Calendly.
for author stuff. And
Okay.
I also have a presentation. So on the Calendly, you can sign up for one-on-one consultations. You can sign up for a small group Q&A. And at the end of this month, I am doing a live presentation of money mistakes that authors make,
Mm.
which will also end with a Q&A, which will go on for as long as people want me. And then I will be sending out the recording to anybody who attends. So
Nice.
Fantastic. Again, I will be putting all of that information
That's great.
below. Thank you very much, Erin.
Let's see. So I will be at Author Nation. I don't know who here will be at Author Nation too, but I'm doing a presentation there on actually how to launch as a wide author. So how to
Mm.
be
Where's this at?
Oh, sorry. Author Nation is in Las Vegas,
Okay.
and it's in November, the first week of November. And so if you haven't bought your tickets yet, you should and come meet me there. I would love to see you. So I'm excited about that. Let's see. So I am releasing a book next month. It's called Thankful for Love. All of my books, back to branding, all of my books are something, something love. And so this one is Thankful for Love. It happens during Thanksgiving time. What?
perfect.
I'm launching it in November because of course I am. And it is start to my serviceman series. So it will be all ex-military guys coming back home after serving in the military and
Mhm.
integrating into
Yeah.
society and stuff. So I'm super excited about that. Anybody who has
Congratulations.
thank you. Who's watched me for a long time knows that I got stuck for a very long time in terms of writing, both from not refilling the well, Becca Syme style, and also having a chaos monster as a spouse. And so
Mhm.
this is the first book release that I will have had in 4.5 years.
Oh, wow.
I was gonna say,
Congratulations.
I was like, this has been a long time coming, if I
It's
remember
Yeah,
correctly.
completely insane. Yes,
that's
yes.
Proud of
exciting.
you.
That's
I'm
very
Anyway,
excited for
exciting.
you.
so
Yay, round of applause.
so anyway, yep, that's big doings in my world. If
Mhm.
you want to chat with me, I have my website is Erin Wright, like the Wright brothers,
Mhm.
erinwright.net. I am not a .com. Some other bastard took .com. I will never forgive them.
Rude.
Um, and there's a bar there or a link at the top, and it says authors. So you can click on that or you can go to erinwright.net/authors. Either
Mhm.
way, we'll get you to the same page.
Yeah.
And there are linked to all the classes I've ever taught, so you can do all the replays.
Mhm.
And my classes are obviously a lot cheaper than doing a one-on-one with me.
Right.
I'm just like Golden. I want to be as accessible as possible.
Yeah.
And so I have these classes of like, this is a way of getting information without having to pay for one-on-one time. But if you want to talk to me one-on-one, all the information is on that same page.
Gotcha.
So I would love to chat with you and help you out. I love helping authors. It makes my little heart happy. I
Yeah.
was a former teacher and a former librarian. And now,
Oh,
The
so
two worlds
love it.
collide.
Love, love, love. Oh, no wonder I liked you right away.
Right?
yeah, I taught intermediate school, fourth and fifth graders. They were adorable. And then I was in the library world for 7 years, including 18 months as a library director.
Oh,
So
wow.
Wow.
I am a librarian, a library aficionado. So
You've got
Love it.
printing ink in your blood.
I do. Yes.
Well, thank you so much, everybody. This was such a delightful conversation. We went a little over time, and I appreciate you for hanging in there because
Yeah.
we always try to value your time. And thank you for giving us a little extra. Please look for these folks online. They all have great experience, great books. And don't forget the holiday season is coming. And these make great holiday gifts,
Yeah.
different genre types here. So there, if you know somebody that likes a cowboy or firefighter romance, if you know somebody who likes this
Retro
what it would
fiction.
call it, retro fiction,
Yes.
is that what you call it? Retro fiction, um, of self-discovery for a woman in a band, right? She was in a band.
Yes. Hmm.
Yes,
Right.
okay.
Mhm.
And then we've got, if you want, bottom
Super
warming.
spicy.
Bottom warming romance. There you go. I think that I feel very fortunate, and I just want to say thank you because I learned something new every time
Oh,
we have
yeah.
one of these panels. I learned so many valuable things, and I'm grateful to you for being part of our um, virtual book fest portion, and also for being in person this year at the 2025 Right Women Book Fest. Cardin.
Everything that you said, and just this was just a blast. It
Yeah.
was insightful and entertaining and just fun and encouraging, really encouraging. So just thank you all.
Have a
Thank you
good
both for
night.
setting it up.
We're
Our
happy
absolute
to.
pleasure.
This is one of the things that actually fills our cup. So we're happy to do it, and we appreciate all your wisdom. Thank you. Good night, everybody.
Bye.